Please welcome Chancellor Hawgood.
Thank you, Gary. And when Gary asked me if I would be willing to introduce Marc, of course I was delighted to, but he didn't tell me that I was going to follow on the stage one of the great Irish orators of our time. So President Higgins, thank you very much for your comments. And let me begin by also adding my congratulations to my friend and the friend of the planet, Chuck Feeney. He's a remarkable person. Now, it's my job to introduce Marc Benioff, also not a small task, but I'm honored to present another global business icon to be inducted into the Bay Area Council's Business Hall of Fame. Marc, like Chuck, shares an extraordinary commitment to service and philanthropy. None of us in this room or around the Bay Area, you have only to walk outside your door to see the realization of Marc and his wife Lynn's commitment to our community, exemplified by UCSF Benioff Children's Hospitals in San Francisco and in Oakland, support for medical research, not only here in San Francisco, but in many other great institutions, fighting poverty with Tipping Point, housing the homeless with Raphael House, Star Community Home, and Hamilton House, and bolstering San Francisco's public schools, and that's just scratching the surface. Now, Marc launched his first entrepreneurial computer company, a software company, at age 14. So he amazingly has had almost 40 years of business experience already, and more than a lifetime of achievement. As a fourth-generation San Francisco businessman, Marc spent much of his youth with his father, Russell, working at Benioff Department Store, the store that his grandparents founded. There's been some discussion of BART here already tonight, and a fact that some of you may not know is that Marc's grandfather was a key architect in getting BART to the Bay Area. Now, Marc's father, Russell, was another inspiring leader who Marc has credited with the development of his strong work ethic and his devotion to San Francisco. But Marc was careful not to take only his father's advice, of course. He attended USC, his mother Joelle's alma mater, because, as he says, mother knows best, and I'm delighted that Joelle is with us here tonight. Now, after Marc graduated, he jumped right into the technology business at Oracle, where he quickly rose to senior vice president. Restless, or I suspect restless, after a decade at Oracle, Marc took a sabbatical that included a trip to India. There he experienced a personal transformation that influenced his business and humanitarian life in profound ways. In India, Marc met with many humanitarian leaders, including His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. He relates that in one pivotal meeting with the Guru Amachi, also known as the Hugging Saint or the Mother of Immortal Bliss, Marc was introduced to the idea and possibility of giving back to the world while pursuing his career ambitions. He realized he did not need to make a choice, but could align his business values with doing good. And I'd like to use Marc's own words to describe what came next. And I quote, "Salesforce was founded in 1999 with a vision to reinvent the customer relationship management in the cloud. At Salesforce, nothing is more important than customer success. We disrupted the software industry with a new cloud-based technology model, a new business model for software as a service, and importantly, right from the beginning, a new integrated philanthropic model. As Marc said, it was a big, bold move, and it has paid off in exciting ways," end quote. Indeed, it was a big, bold move. Just listen to this. In just 16 years, Salesforce has gone from a startup in a small Telegraph Hill apartment to a Fortune 500 company with a $6 billion annual revenue run rate. Salesforce is the largest tech employer in the Bay Area and is expected to be the 4th largest enterprise software company in the world next year, according to many analysts. Not surprisingly, in 2014, Marc was voted Businessman of the Year by Fortune magazine, and Barron named him to be one of the best CEOs in the world. Forbes named Salesforce the world's most innovative company for the last 5 years, and Fortune has listed Salesforce in the top best companies to work every year since 2009. Now, these numbers and awards certainly attest to Marc's stature as a Hall of Fame CEO, but they don't paint the full picture of Marc's leadership. I've experienced firsthand in the hospital business the countless times that Marc has personally, and I mean personally, stepped in to assist and support a member of the Salesforce family from all around the world in a time of need. It's no surprise, therefore, certainly to me, that he is universally respected and loved by those he leads. Now, the new integrated philanthropic model that Marc embedded in Salesforce from the very beginning has also outperformed. Over the past 16 years, the company, through the Salesforce.com Foundation, has given $100 million in grants and donated well over 1 million volunteer hours. Imagine if every company followed that lead. Now, beyond the legend, I would just like to share a little bit about the Marc Benioff that I've had the privilege of getting to know. And just 2 thoughts. He is the inspiring man who thinks big and asks others to do the same. He's the thoughtful man who I've heard often ask me and so many others, what else can we do? A question that is surely transforming UCSF as well as the business, philanthropy, and our community at large. Now, in 2006, Marc wrote a piece for Fortune magazine where he described Salesforce as a force for change. Marc, I suspect that idea of a force for change comes from your love of Star Wars, but you'll have to correct me if not. But you are indeed a force for change. You are a magical reincarnation of Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Luke Skywalker all in one. Now, the late, great Nelson Mandela said, and I quote, "A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination." Marc, you are that formidable combination. Marc Benioff has created and inspired countless pioneers in business and community service, and he will be a standout amongst the Bay Area Council's Business Hall of Fame. Marc, I would like to personally congratulate you on this honor and invite everyone to watch the video. Thank you.
We've been pioneers, inventors, and explorers from the night Benjamin Franklin flew his kite in an electrical storm to the day that Marc Benioff realized he could sell software services over the web to make life better, healthier, and more productive.
Now, regular viewers know that I'm a huge fan of Salesforce, the outfit that practically invented the cloud.
It definitely has sort of caught everybody's imagination. It's growing like wildfire.
The fastest growing company in the industry by far.
I haven't seen any technology that changed how you deal with a consumer faster than Salesforce.
The power to change and improve right now.
We are in the midst of a technology revolution. We need to partner with the best, and that's why we've chosen to work with Salesforce.
Its growth has been explosive.
I saw the vision that you had, and I thought, this is what I want.
He may be the most influential man in San Francisco.
What is extraordinary is how you become the company that defines modern future enterprise computing, because you got it right.
We started Salesforce.com in 1999. It was a boom time. Just a few people in an apartment here on Telegraph Hill together could create a new paradigm.
I see it in your eyes.
I don't think I would have started a company if it wasn't for Salesforce, quite honestly.
Marc leads a company that is widely considered to be one of the best places to work, not only in the technology industry, but any industry.
What Marc has done here is he's attracted people who share those same values, and as a result, this improving businesses' bottom lines, but it's also creating cultures where people thrive.
We're talking about a company that's got one of the greatest corporate souls.
We're going to make giving back a core part of our DNA from the very beginning.
You can be in business, or you can have a great company, and that can be one of the greatest vehicles for giving that you'll ever have.
He takes that to heart. That's not marketing, that's Marc.
I'm so proud of what got started 7 or 8 years ago, and I see it building and building and becoming one of the truly great partnerships in our wonderful city of San Francisco.
He is a consummate salesperson.
We weren't Salesforce customers right at the beginning. And
I hope you are now.
Oh, we are, yes, of course. We have no choice.
That's true, that's true.
How big a deal is this?
This is huge.
One of the largest gatherings San Francisco has ever seen.
Isn't this an unbelievable Dreamforce already?
The biggest software event ever.
Innovation, fun, and giving back.
15 years ago, one decision was to take 1% of our equity, 1% of our profit, 1% of all of our employees' time and put it into a nonprofit. That was the best decision we ever made. Business needs to realize they're part of the solution, they're not part of the problem. I believe that the business of business is to improve the state of the world.
Everyone wants to be on his team. There's no question of that.
It elevates all of us just to work with this man.
He lights up a room, he captures imaginations, he talks about the future.
Behind each and every one of these interactions on the internet, there's a customer.
You canceled company events in Indiana.
All I want is to have equality for all.
He's connecting people together to make the world better. It's pretty cool.
Here's a guy who's changed the world. He's only getting started.
Please welcome Marc Benioff.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And first of all, I just want to give everybody here a little bit of advice, which is, I mean this very seriously. If you are going to be nominated for an award, please pay attention if the other person who's being nominated is a holy man. Because okay, I'm not kidding, actually. I've known Chuck Feeney for quite a long time. He's a huge inspiration to me. We have a lot of very unusual connections, and we've had meetings together. And I'll tell you that you probably know that we, one of our big commitments to UCSF, and thank you, Sam, for that wonderful speech, was actually a match to Chuck Feeney's money. So Chuck kind of laid out that somebody needed to kind of match $100 million that he had already given, and we gave it, and that was exciting to us, and that also was a huge message to us that motivated us to then encourage others to match us going forward. So Chuck, I just want to thank you for everything that you have done. You're an inspiration to everyone in this room, but so many others all around the world. You've given so much of your heart and your spirit. Every businessman wants to make that transition from being someone who's focused to making money to someone who's giving money, and every businessman wants to make the transition from being who's focused on commerce to being a true humanitarian. And that's a transition that we can look to you, and we can see that you've made that, and you're a role model for all of us. So thank you so much for everything that you've done. You know, when you receive an award like this, or you build a company, or you accomplish anything in your life, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It could be creating or organizing an event. It could be building something. There's others around who are absolutely critical to making that happen and forming the right team. And I'll tell you that that team, as I'm sure all of you know, starts at home. And I'm so fortunate to have such a wonderful and beautiful wife, Lynn, who's there as my partner. So Lynn, thank you. Stand up, would you? And I also came from a beautiful home as well, and my mother is here, Joelle. So Mom, would you stand up? I also, before I continue, I also want to thank so much President for your wonderful comments, and we also have another wonderful president here, who's a wonderful person who's a huge inspiration to me, who is also our Secretary of Homeland Security and the Governor of Arizona, Janet Napolitano. So Janet, would you please stand up? Thank you. She's our wonderful president of University of California and someone who is just adding an incredible amount to our community. I'd also just like to tell you that before I came here, just across the street, the person who helped me start that business when I was 14 years old lives across the street. It's my grandmother. She's 103. We're going to be 103 in December. And so Lynn and I went over and got to see her and talk with her. And she was so pleased to hear about what was going to happen here tonight. So that was a wonderful gift. When we started Salesforce, way back when in 1999, we had this kind of vision, which was to do kind of a few different things all at once. One, to build a new technology model, this idea of kind of shared services. And that is now known as the cloud. That's obviously gotten much bigger than we ever anticipated that it would, and it continues to grow and be such a huge part of our computer industry today, and also very much our Bay Area economy and what's going on right now in San Francisco. We also decided that we were going to create a new business model, and that was going to complement this kind of focus on innovation, and that new business model was going to be a business model focused on customer success. And we were really pretty confident that this idea that you could integrate innovation and integrate customer success together would create a successful company. But after being at Oracle for 13 years, I knew something else, and that was that after 13 years at Oracle, I was working in business. I was doing what I was told to do, what I learned at USC. The business was going up. But what I saw was that I had this feeling of kind of unfulfillment. And when I looked at that and kind of diagnosed that, I kind of said, gee, it kind of comes from this idea that I really kind of want to be doing volunteerism all day. I'd rather be giving all the time. And somehow, through a combination like we heard from Sam with the gurus in India and people like Colin Powell and others who kind of were mentoring me, I had this idea that we could put it all together. And the way to put it together was that we could take 1% of our equity, 1% of our profit, and 1% of our time, and we could create a foundation day one. It was very easy, by the way, to do because we had no equity, we had no profit, there were no employees. Very straightforward. It gave us a fantastic value of compassion kind of built into our foundation, and the person who's been running our foundation now for 15 years, Suzanne DiBianca, is here, so we're so lucky to have her. And that was built in right into our core, and I think that that's really important in businesses today. So we have these beautiful values of innovation to work with, this beautiful value of customer success, with this beautiful value of compassion in this company, and we also have this beautiful value that came right out of San Francisco, which is equality for all, regardless of our race or our religion or our gender, that we were going to make sure that everyone was treated well. And it's easy to do actually here. Well, it's easy to do here in San Francisco because everyone's like, well, of course. But when you go around our country, or you go around the world, it's not always so easy. And that is lessons that we continue to learn every single day, but our values and our commitment to these core values do not change. And I think that's one of the reasons that Salesforce continues to grow and continues to be successful, is kind of adherence to these kind of very core values. Today in San Francisco, and I think Gary would agree, and I'm sure that we heard this from the wonderful videos and speeches, we have incredible things going on in San Francisco. This is a nirvana where we live. This is the most beautiful city in the world. We are so lucky. Every day when I get up, I go, wow, I am so lucky to live here. And of course, I'm someone like a lot of people in the room who's seen every city in the world, every great country. And this is not to denigrate Ireland, okay, or Dublin or Belfast or anything, but we are really in one of the greatest cities in the world. And I'm sure you'd agree, Mr. President, this is a great place to come, yes. So, well, we have a great city. We have this nirvana that we live in every day. But I think, as Chuck Feeney has said so clearly, we have to keep our eye on all those who are less fortunate than the people who are in this room. Because it's the people who are in this room who can actually make a difference. It's business that can make a difference. And I hope that that's the message that you come away from Salesforce.com. When we look at San Francisco and we look at the beauty of San Francisco, we also see that we have our challenges and we have our opportunities. And that starts right with our K-12 system. It's a system, it's actually a great school system. We have a phenomenal superintendent, Richard Carranza. And I'll tell you that this is a time when if we embrace the K-12 system here in San Francisco, we can create incredible change. And let me tell you the people who can circle these schools and embrace them. It's the very people who are in this room. All of us can choose a school. I've personally chosen the Presidio Middle School. All of us can choose a principal. All of us can mentor, tutor, teach, ask our employees to get into the K-12 schools, because I'll tell you that the future of San Francisco is in those schools. It's the kids. It's all these kids who are coming up, and we need to make sure they have the best education possible. And when you go in those schools, you'll be inspired. We are so lucky here in San Francisco to have such great schools, great teachers, great principals, and just with a little extra oomph, what I think we can do is create the best K-12 system in the country. And the people who can do it are here in the room. We know we have the best hospitals here in San Francisco. Anyone who's in this room knows that. We are so lucky. We have Sam Hawgood is here, Mark Laird is here, Janet Napolitano. We have all these fabulous physicians and researchers and nurses and staff. And I'm sure that everyone here knows that if they ever get into trouble medically or anything else, there is a safety net here in San Francisco that is unparalleled to anywhere else in the world, and that's our UC hospitals and our University of California. And I'll tell you that we need to keep our eye on that ball, because our children's education is important, our children's health is important. And we are really in good shape if we can focus on those two things. And one last thing. The last thing is the homeless. Now, everybody knows we have thousands of people on the streets here in San Francisco. But you may not know that 1 in every 20 children in our SFUSD K-12 school district is homeless. Can you imagine being a child in school and not knowing where you're going to go home at night? Here, in like the most prosperous city in the world, that is a situation that we have that is alive and well and living in San Francisco. 1 in every 20 kids in our SFUSD. That's something that I think we can all change. And by the way, that's not that hard of a thing to do. There are plans that have been written. There are programs underway. We can easily, if we focus on these homeless kids, get them into homes and make sure that they have a great foundation for their education going forward. These are the things that I think the Bay Area Council can really focus on. You know, my grandfather, my grandmother's husband, he's passed on. I think it was mentioned he's the father of BARD. He helped had the vision for BARD and he was a supervisor here in San Francisco for more than a decade. and worked to get the largest federal bond passed ever, which was the bond to get BART funded, which was about $1 billion. And his vision for BART was, of course, connecting all the Bay Area and providing this infrastructure. And I'll tell you that one of his key visions was what we have today, which is we have this great tunnel, which you all know that we can get in the Embarcadero BART station, and 1 or 2 minutes later, you can be in downtown Oakland. And it's pretty cool, actually. And I do it actually all the time. I actually go to the Warriors game on BART and so forth. And whenever I do that, I always think the same thought, and I want to just have this opportunity with all of you because I know it's the people in this room who can help me manifest this vision. And you probably wonder, Gary, why? I know you have this vision too because you're so involved in this. But this simple idea that you cannot have a prosperous San Francisco without a prosperous Oakland. And that idea is something that we can also get behind because this vision of incredible K-12 schools at SFUSD here in San Francisco, incredible hospitals here in San Francisco, getting our homeless kids off the streets in San Francisco, which I said is a very easy and straightforward thing to do. Well, we also need to do the same exact thing in Oakland. And Oakland also provides all these other great, I'm glad you agree with this, by the way, because Oakland also provides all these other incredible resources that San Francisco needs right now, like affordable housing and incredible, it's a great extension of San Francisco in so many powerful ways. Anyway, I could go on and on. I'm not going to because Gary's getting tired standing behind me. But I did want to bring you that one idea that is the people in this room, it's business, as evidenced by the work of Chuck Feeney, that can make a difference, can make the change, and we can all do it if we work together. And I'm so happy that Gary and Michael and everybody here are part of the Bay Area Council, are all working to raise up everyone in this great region. So thank you so much, and appreciate this award.
Congratulations, Mark, and thank you for those inspirational words. Really great.